All right, first off, excited to be back. Coming off a bye week, going into a home game. This is family weekend and also a cancer awareness game. And so excited about the energy and the buzz of filling up Paulson this weekend. Looking forward to Eagle Nation being here and just feeding off that energy of the power of Paulson.
Coach, you had an off week. You guys got to be chomping at the bit to get back to real games again.
No question. Last week was tough. Our guys put themselves in position to win the football game, and we were not able to finish and close it out. So there was a lot of disappointment, a lot of hurt. But hats off to them because they really came back last week and worked. We had 3 practices last week. Started our game prep last night for Louisiana, and the guys' energy level was way up there. This is definitely a positive football team that has a lot of hurt right now and want to make a difference.
Coach, y'all are playing a home game, 3-point underdogs. I think last year y'all were underdogs at App State. We know what happened there. Do y'all view that sort of underdog mentality as sort of an insult or a way to an extra motivational factor? How do you view that when you see that y'all are coming into this as underdogs?
We're a 1-2 football team. They're 3-1. We should be the underdogs. We haven't played well. We've done a lot of things to hurt ourselves. Now I do think we've improved from week 1 to week 3, but still not playing the level of football that Georgia Southern's used to, and definitely not playing like we should have. I understand the underdog, and it is what it is.
You mentioned the practices last week, getting a little bit of an early start on game prep. A lot of teams will say that, that bye week is time to work on you, and with you saying not playing to the level that you expect to at Georgia Southern, how much of that, was spent on that last week, or is it something where the best thing you can do is turn the page to the next team and get ready to put up a win there?
Well, I think anytime you go into a bye week, you got to have some type of focus on your next opponent, but because of kind of the way we've played against Maine, the way we played against Minnesota, there's still things that we're working on with us. And, so we spent time, especially on the discipline piece, owning the football, because we always talk about, the turnover takeaway margin, and that's something that we're not doing a real good job of this year. And then the Eagles don't beat Eagles piece. So we spent a lot of time on that, and obviously you take a little bit of time to start prepping for the next opponent, and you introduce it, and you get your guys ready. But I think you miss the point of bye weeks if you totally just jump into your next opponent.
Coach, I know a lot of people are going to ask that question. How is Shi's progress coming along as far as his rehabilitation and getting back into the game?
I was impressed with Shi last week during the bye week practices. We slowly progressed him in, but he was everything we were asking him to do, he was able to do it. Last night he looked sharp. Tomorrow and Wednesday will be very telling, but I think he's coming along fine, and hopefully we see something Tuesday and Wednesday for him to be able to play this Saturday.
Coach, so for the defensive line, it seems to be really impressive this year. One player that really seems to stand out is Reynard Ellis. He really seems to be coming into his role, especially after that blocked field goal. What do you think he's doing right, and how well do you think he's fitting in with the team this year, being his first year playing?
Well, if you go back and, he transferred to us from Furman, and when you go back and look at what he did his freshman year at Furman, the guy led the team in tackles. And then when he came with us, he obviously had to sit out because he was ineligible. But he did a tremendous job on scout team for us. And so he was a guy that we kind of, knew pretty early on that he was a guy that could help us. And then throughout spring ball and then throughout training camp, he really showed that he was definitely learning our defense, and he was definitely fitting in with our football team. Lots of times that's the biggest thing that's important, to make sure he fits. And But, he definitely gets along well with the guys. I know the guys love him. He loves the guys. And the way he's picking up on the defense, I see him getting better each and every game.
As we head into conference play, a lot of Sun Belt teams have surprised some people on the national stage and out of conference games. Even y'all play Minnesota close. What have you seen from the conference? Does it seem a bit closer now in terms of competition as we head into conference play, or what have you seen there?
Well, during preseason, especially during media days and all that, I said this over and over again. You've got to be ready to play each and every week in the Sun Belt. And as you can see, the Sun Belt as a whole, as a conference, is definitely making a name for itself. The way they're battling and the way we're, either winning against Power Fives or keeping it close or whatever you want to call it. There's definitely signs of this conference is for real.
What have you seen from the Raging Cajuns on offense? They've scored a lot of points this season. What sticks out to you from the Louisiana offense?
To me, what's very impressive, and this is probably both offense and defense for them, is just how much they progressed from last year to this year. Obviously, they were a good football team last year, being the Western side champs in the Sun Belt and playing in the championship game. But when you start looking at statistically how much they've improved on each side of the ball, but when you see offense, you see a tough group that really wants to establish the run. I believe they're third in the country, maybe in rush yardage, and I think top 5 nationally in total offense. And we're not talking about conference ranks. We're talking about national ranks. And so I see an offensive line that really likes to come off the football and establish a run, and those 2 running backs are really good. Quarterback's very athletic, can throw and run. And that usually serves as problems when you have a quarterback that can do both.
Coach, what has Tyler Bass meant to this program, not just as a kicker and all the big kicks, but in terms of being a leader and someone that the guys seem to really enjoy being around? And that's not always the case for the kicker. Sometimes they're kind of off just to the side.
Tyler fits in really well. I know that got asked about Reynard earlier, but Tyler is a guy that, really fits in with our football team and gets along with the guys. He's a guy that likes to compete, and that's not just playing football. Anytime we're doing off-season stuff, he's constantly trying to race people. He's constantly trying to do things in the weight room to be a part of the team. And, lots of times specialists sometimes becomes their own little group and, they're not really a part. But that's one thing and really all our specialists, they really fit in with our football team. But they partake in everything that we do. It's not just a specialized thing for them, and Tyler's the leader of that.
Staying on that special teams, talk about what it's been like to see the development from Anthony Beckett, punter. He came into this season, got the call in the first couple games, and has really made that position his own, went after and earned that thing. Talk about it.
Well, he's a attention to detail type of guy. Once you tell him something, he's constantly working on that. He's a guy that puts a lot of time, a lot of effort into it, working on his craft and working on his technique. And that's starting to show in football games. I haven't really seen anything where the stage was too big for him or anything like that. I do feel like he rushed a punt last week or a week ago with Minnesota when they brought a rush. But really that's the only one that I really saw where he kind of rushed it. He's doing a really good job just trying to stay within his own and make sure that he takes care of his job each and every time.